Welcome back to Mean Streets, the podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir and more. I am Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths. Now it's time to crack another case. And we're live. Hello, world. Mean Streets Live. Mean Streets Christmas wrap-up. End-of-year wrap-up 2025. Welcome.
Welcome, one and all. Everyone that's listening.
Yes, we'll give people, we're doing this live, so if you're listening to the inevitable playback on Spotify and Podbean and whatever, we're gonna give people a few minutes to come into the chat if they want to, and we'll just hang out for a bit. But we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, we might as well say happy Christmas, happy holidays. Matt, you excited for Christmas, for Santa Claus?
Well, I'm afraid Christmas isn't my time of year.
Oh no!
Every year people tell me it's the most magical time of the year, or whatever it is, the most wonderful time of the year, and every year I say, is it? I think it comes down to having no children, so there's no there's nothing to get excited about watching kids unwrap presents, So
interesting. Wow.
We don't even have a Christmas tree, Luke.
Oh, that's sad.
We don't even have a Christmas tree. My wife's the same. It's not that I've imposed this Scrooge mentality on her. She is the same. But no, we don't really sort of go nuts for it like a lot of people do. But having said that, it's good to see family. It's good to see what friends you do see over the period. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that side of it. But I think it's the overuse of tat.
That's fair enough.
That I get a bit curmudgeonly about.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I've always loved Christmas. I've always loved Christmas. It's not about the presents. It's not about the presents. It's I just generally like in the way that like Shane Black's movies are always Christmas time. Like I just like the appeal of Christmas, the lights, the music. I love the Christmas songs. I don't care. I love Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You."
That's good for you. We wouldn't do for us all to be the same.
Yeah, like I love that stuff. I love Christmas movies. Whether it's the old Rudolph film, stop motion Rudolph film or whatever. Like I grew up loving that stuff. It's just always been one of my favorite times a year. And I love decorating. So yeah, we've the house isn't as decorated as normal because, as we've talked about this off camera many times. We should have moved from this house about 4 times over by now. It's just
the story of this move is a noir in itself, isn't it?
God almighty. Yes. But yeah, so we have a little bit of decorations at the moment, but I do love me my Christmas. I like sitting and watching Christmas films and stuff, and
I always enjoy it when people ask me what my favorite Christmas film is, and they always say things like Elf or Love Actually, which I can't stand.
Well, that is a bad movie.
Yeah, and I always say, well, it is and has been for several decades. Batman Returns is my favorite.
Oh yeah,
Christmas movie. So that tends to sort of stop people in the tracks when they're expecting you to say like White Christmas or whatever it might be. It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, oof.
I mean, yeah. It's a Wonderful Life is good. It's not one that I watch on a regular basis, but
no.
My favorite Christmas movie is one called A Christmas Story.
Yeah, you've mentioned this before.
Yes, that is just it's one that I've loved since I was a kid, and will continue to love until I'm long gone. It's I don't know. I just watched it. It was a Christmas staple as a kid growing up in Midwest America, and it's also set in Indiana, so it's all very relatable in many ways. So A Christmas Story has always been my key key Christmas film. But yeah, there's great Christmas noirs.
There's great Christmas noirs.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is one of them. Lethal Weapon is another. Die Hard is another.
Die Hard.
I think without further ado, I think we're good to kick off. So let's dive in.
Yeah.
Let's first talk WB being sold tentatively to Netflix for a measly sum of $7.2 billion or around there.
Around there.
What's your initial reaction, Matt, to this news of WB, the home of the Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, Casablanca, Strangers on a Train, Night Moves, LA Confidential, Dirty Harry, Harper, other things like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones.
I mean, a large section of our episodes.
I know. I intentionally pulled out ones that we covered,
exactly. Exactly. I sort of didn't realize until you listed them just how many there are. My initial reaction to this is a crying shame. That's my initial reaction to this.
Yes.
I think it's based on the sort of quality of stuff we've had from Netflix over the last 12 months. And we've talked about this on the show many times. We've covered several of them.
Yes.
It doesn't bode well, does it? I mean, it does not bode well for a studio that's responsible for a large portion of some of my favorite films, those you've mentioned. And things like sort of like Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman, I think he's Warner Brothers. And
DC, they own all of DC Comics.
Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, Batman Forever, Batman Returns.
Everything that is DC is WB, which WB. Could tentatively be Netflix then.
Yeah, and it's just a real shame, I think. And I sort of these old established studios that have been around for decades,
WB is over 100 years old.
Yeah, and it's just like, to see it go to Netflix of all people, I would have preferred it if it was the other way around. If it was going to be a deal at all, And I just think it's a kick in the teeth for the cinema industry and for cinemas generally. And this monster that is streaming, I think is, not necessarily a move in the right direction. It's good for some things, but I don't think it should take over the way it seems to be doing.
No, I agree. I had that same sort of like kick in the teeth, kick in the gut that I had when like Disney bought Marvel and then bought Star Wars. Yeah. Of like, really? That behemoth is going to take over? And I personally, I feel validated. I don't think Disney have done very well with Star Wars. I don't think Disney have done very well with Marvel. I think there are outliers. I think there are certain things that they have done really well, like say Daredevil, Iron Man 3, Avengers 1. There's a few things like on the whole, like it's just, Captain America First Winter Soldiers is obviously very good. There's some things that were very good, but there's so much that's like, if you pull it all together, like there's a lot of froth in that mix.
Yeah, and the point for me is, so you named Daredevil. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But when you put that one success story against the number of dreadful things that have been out, that have been released, like the scales are only tipped in one side's favor, and that is on the side of dross.
Yeah,
and there's not enough good stuff to counterbalance it. And Star Wars is a great example. I mean, I can't. The last really good Star Wars film I think I saw is like the originals.
Yeah, well, the only and saying this with the straightest face possible, the only good thing that Disney has produced with Star Wars is the first season of The Mandalorian. That's it.
Yeah.
All of the films have been dreadful. All of the other TV shows have been so boring. I know everybody loves Andor. Andor was the titular character is by far the most boring individual in the show, and that is a real problem for me. So I overall Star Wars is a write-off to me. What I would have preferred if any of the streaming giants out there were going to take it, I really wish it had been Apple. And I say that because on the whole, they're one of the few streaming platforms that everything that's on their platform is original.
Mm.
They aren't loaded with lots of other crap, but the originals that they produce on overall, I have enjoyed far more than any original that I've ever seen on Netflix. Like, I think I loved Bad Monkey. I loved Sugar. I loved the Harrison Ford, Jason Segel show, Shrinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, what else I love? I can't remember now. Bad Sisters, the first season of Bad Sisters was fantastic. You know, there's been more authentic, like, stuff coming out through them that's like, this actually feels like real TV show. It's also stuff that's released weekly, which means it stays in my mind longer. It stays in the zeitgeist longer. You know, whereas Netflix is like, oh, here's everything. Here's 13 hours worth of stuff. You got 2 days to watch it all, because within the next 4 hours, every fucking outlet is going to be spoiling everything that they've taught, that, you know, that's in this show.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I can't stand about it. I mean, I sort of, you know, I'm not really one that sits down for 7 hours to watch a TV show.
Who has time?
You know, I have other things to do in my life.
Yes.
You know, and this idea of sort of keeping people strapped to the settees watching trash is like, it is the plot of Batman Forever, isn't it? It's the thing that Nigma puts on the TV boxes.
It is.
To get their thought, get their mind waves or whatever the hell it is, or brain waves.
Yes.
And I just think, you know, there's still, if you go at the right time, and people who listen to the show will know I don't like going to the cinema when it's crowded because of all the rustling paper and the talking. But going to the cinema is an experience still that I enjoy. Yeah. And it's an event, you know, whereas sitting on your settee is just sitting on your settee. And I think to take away that choice, which is inevitably what's going to happen, or like you say, it'll be released in cinemas for about a day, you know.
Yeah, well, like
and then
Knives
be
Out.
off. Yeah. And to take away that choice, I think is just horrendous.
Yes.
I had a real heart sink when this news broke. A real heart sink, because I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's, you know, it's almost as if people want to sort of take away good art and just make it a totally disposable commodity.
Well, that's exactly it. I literally today, I was so frustrated with this that I wrote a Substack article that's out now that I've shared on various social media, and that was it. I was talking about how the binge culture has, you know, pedaled by Netflix, has literally suffocated, you know, the water cooler culture. Yeah. You aren't able to sit around at the water cooler at work or wherever and chat about the thing you watched last night, because it's like, oh yeah, I binged 7 episodes of Bridgerton. How many did you watch? Oh, well, I only watched the first 2. Okay, well, actually, now I can't talk to you about it because, you know, whatever. But then a week later, well, now the whole show's actually come and gone, and there's nothing to really talk about anymore. You know?
No, that's right. And the question shifts from being, did you see X last night, whatever it might be, and them saying, oh God, yeah, what about that ending? What great stuff. So now the question is, where are you up to? Yeah, on X.
Yeah, so you can't actually talk 6
about 6 episodes, you know, and then that's just, well, you can't talk to me about it then, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's no cliffhanging moment. Like, for example, that episode of Sugar, when he is revealed. Spoiler alert for anyone who's not watched Sugar on Apple. You plug your ears for like 5 seconds. But that reveal, the episode where they reveal the reveal at the end. Actually, I'll sidestep it. The reveal that they reveal at the end of that one episode, that left you like gobsmacked for a week.
Sure did.
A whole week. You're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
This is what? What? Huh? Yeah. And then you and I were able to rant about it for a week at each other because you hated it. I loved it. Like it allowed, you know, conversation. It allows you to digest stuff. And binging weekly episodes allows you to digest. Binging does not allow you to digest. And essentially what binging is, and I put this in my article, but it's essentially just like giving into the toddler's demands, giving them everything they want when they want it, which essentially means it's like giving a toddler a whole cake, because they're demanding the whole cake. Now they have the whole cake in front of them and they can't focus on it long enough for it to be interesting.
That's right. Yeah. Or they overdose on it, you know.
Yeah.
And just two things connected to that. Yeah, I did hate the sugar reveal, and it's well documented. But at least it inspired a definite reaction.
Yeah.
And it inspired a reaction that I wasn't expecting to have. You know what I mean? Whereas some of the bland stuff that comes off Netflix, it doesn't inspire me to have any form of emotional response at all. And that's just creatively dead.
Yes.
And the other thing is, I wonder if all this binge watching, they do it because if you actually did have a week to think about it, you'd think this is pretty badly written and badly plotted.
Well,
and there's flat characterization. Whereas if you're being bombarded with it, you don't have time to think about how stupid it all is.
Well, you don't. You that's the thing. You don't. If you're watching even the these bingey shows, like if you're watching it with a critical eye, you can see, okay, like Disney is very much a fiend in this, and that is their Disney shows, their Star Wars shows have about they claim to be like 40 minutes long. What you find out is like 15 minutes of that is credits. There's like 10 minutes of end credits and like 5 minutes of opening playback and opening credits and stuff. So then you're left with a very short episode. There is maybe 10 minutes of setup and then a diversion and then a return to course in the last 5 minutes of the episode. So essentially what you're finding is like, well, I'm watching this thing that is clearly being stretched like silly putty. Very, very long, stretched very long and thin, that there's just not enough meat to
exactly
warrant this amount of time. And I felt the same way with Paramount Plus at times with Star Trek Picard. I really enjoyed Star Trek Picard Series 3. It's 10 episodes long. It could probably be 5. And I love the show. I know people who worked on the show. It's good. It's fun. It's the best thing Star Trek has done since its revival. Everything else is pretty much crap in my opinion. And I'm just like, well, even that you can just feel it being stretched too thin. It's like we got to somehow all right. A lot of diversions to kind of excuse this.
And that's something else that Sugar had in its favor, because was it Sugar?
Yeah,
its episodes weren't always an hour long.
Yeah,
some were like 40 minutes.
Yeah, but they all felt like punchy and snappy and took you somewhere.
They had the time they deserved. They had the time that particular installment of the story needed.
Yeah. And he wasn't sidetracked. He wasn't going on side quests. It was the case. It was the case the whole time.
Yeah, it was all the case.
Loved it.
And it was all leading up to that moment. It was leading up to the ending you got. And it's one of those things that when you watch it again, and I have watched it since, I don't dislike the ending as much because I sort of know it's coming now. And you can see that there's not really any other solution to that story. It's sort of all leading towards that one moment.
Yeah.
And you've got to admire that. It's a bold choice to do what they do. And I'd still sort of stand by that it's a bold and wacky choice.
Yes.
But once you've made that decision that that's how your story is going to end, you write accordingly. And that's what Sugar did. Definitely. Yeah. There's no rambling. There's no, irrelevant bits. It's all tightly done and tightly constructed.
Yeah. So to sort of like pull it back to the Netflix stuff. So like, Ted Sarandos, the head dude at Netflix was like asked if is Netflix destroying Hollywood? Because that's what everyone keeps saying. Oh, Netflix is killing Hollywood. It's killing cinema. Da, da, da. And he was like, no, we're saving Hollywood. Are you? His quote is, we're in a period of transition. Folks grew up thinking, I want to make movies on a gigantic screen and have strangers watch them and then and have them play in theaters for 2 months. It's an outdated concept. And my whole thinking to that is like, look, are concerts outdated? Are sporting events outdated? Is going to the theater outdated?
Theater outdated, yeah.
Art forms, these things, like humans are social beings and they want to be involved in social activities, and the cinema, like sporting events, like concerts, are moments of everyone coming together to be wrapped up in the awe and the presence of the stage, the cinema, the screen, the art, the acts, the music, whatever. It's like we're not designed to just be sitting at home watching this stuff solely on television alone in your home. Like, yes, it's nice to sit at home and watch a movie on your own, or with your wife or friends or whatever, but like I remember the vast majority of cinema experiences, you know what the cinema was like, what the vibe was like, how packed it was, how not packed it was. I was, I kind of jokingly wrote about it in my article as well. I was like, I remember watching the last Twilight movie with an ex of mine, and I remember her reaction when they snapped like Edward Cullen's dad's head off. And I remember her reaction. She was floored because that was a complete deviation away from the books.
Right.
Yeah, the whole cinema of all these stupid girls who like this stupid movie. Cancel Luke. I remember that because the whole cinema was just like, you don't get that reaction, that level of intense reaction at home.
No, and it's what I remember. My sort of equivalent story is 1978 going to see Superman.
Yeah.
And when he's had his long chat with Marlon Brando, and then Marlon Brando's told him what his mission is, and you see him in the distance in the Fortress of Solitude, he flies towards the camera and banks as he crosses the screen. It was in a cinema in the centre of Manchester. I was with my mum and my grandma, and the entire cinema cheered.
Yeah.
Now the sound of that and the mutual appreciation of all that, of what you were seeing, isn't quite the same when it's just you and maybe two or three others,
Exactly.
who turn politely. Well, certainly Brits turn politely and say, "Oh, that was good, wasn't it?"
Exactly.
The cheer was just. I get goosebumps thinking about it now because I remember it so vividly, and that's what we'll lose if this goes the way that I think it's going to go.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I mean, here's the thing. Ted was saying that, like, what are the consumers trying to tell us? As his quotes, it's that they'd like to watch movies at home. Thank you. The studios and their theaters are duking it out, trying to preserve 45-day windows. It's completely out of step with the consumer experience. And and I'm just like, shut up, Ted. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Because this is information bias, and because Netflix do not release their films for any lengthy period of time in the cinema. They never do on the whole. So you don't actually have the data set to be able to say that this is what the consumers are telling us, because at no point, Ted, have you actually allowed your films to be put in cinema for 45 days. Yeah. You let it for like a couple of weeks, and then you jump into Netflix. And the thing is, no one is going to rush to the cinema in droves because they know it's coming to Netflix that they're already fucking paying for.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point.
It's information bias, Ted.
And there's a choice as well. There's a choice. Let me choose whether I want to wait for it to come on TV. Like we did in the 80s. We had to wait in the 1980s things to come on TV.
In the 90s and the early 2000s.
So give me the choice of, if I want to go and see it, I go to a cinema. If I'm happy to wait for it to come on TV, I'll wait. But to take away one of those options is disgraceful, frankly.
Yeah, well, it's an insult to the art form.
Really. It is, and cinema came. Theatre came first, but cinema, in terms of on a screen, cinema came first. So shut up, TV man. You know what I mean? Actually, it just does my head in.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. What is one of the biggest films right now? Wicked 2, the sequel to the second part of Wicked. A film based on a play adapted from a book. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was a book that became a play, a massive play, a huge hit that people go and see in droves and have done for decades. And now was split into 2 long films that have been just gobbled up by the audience.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but it's a hell of a lot of other people's cup of tea.
And that's fair enough. It's not my cup of tea either. Not interested.
It's sending people to the cinema and they're loving it and they're eating it up. You would not get that reaction.
No.
If they had a couple of weeks to rush and see it at the cinema, then they're just going to dump on Netflix in a couple of, what?
Yeah, I don't have to wait for that. I don't have to. I don't have to race to the cinema for however long it is, two days, whatever it is, when it's coming next week on that. That's what he means when people say they can stay at home and watch TV.
Yes.
That's the reality of of the point he's making.
Yes.
But it shouldn't be like that. There should be a gestation period of, and I remember, hearing about films word of mouth. I mean, the internet's ruined this, but have you seen such and such? I remember when Total Recall came out and people were saying, you must go and see Total Recall. And this was pre-internet. And you're saying, what's it about? And I'm saying, I'm not telling you, just go and see it.
Yeah.
And you go and see it and your mind is completely blown, And then you say, you race back to school. You race back to school and say, I went to see it last night. Jesus, it's brilliant. Ghostbusters was the same.
Yeah.
You've got to go and see this.
Yes.
And all that's gone if you can just see it straight away.
Yeah. It is. And it's also, again, you're relying on the on a service provider. You don't actually own anything. And that's the other big problem that I've always had with Netflix, and that is they do not put out physical media. They did a little bit, but on the whole, they do not do physical media. And back in the day, your film would come out. There's like very interesting clip of, I think, Matt Damon talking about this. But back in the day, you would have your cinema, your film would come out. It would make a certain amount of money, and that was it. And then what you could always bank on was in 4 or 5 months' time, the DVD, VHS, DVD would come out. That would then boost profits. That would then boost that profit a bit. So if the money didn't get made during the initial theater run, well, the home release will help boost that.
So you had a second bite of the cherry.
So you get a second bite, yes. And the other thing, it's like, well, I like to own the films I love. I don't want to have to rely on streamer to be able to watch it whenever I want. I want to be able to put the disc in and watch it, and not, they've completely lost touch with what's important to film goers. Like, I'm more than happy to subscribe to 2 or 3 different streaming services that might even possess some of these franchises that I love, i.e. Paramount, and they have all of Star Trek, but I own all of Star Trek. So I can either watch it on there, or if I want, I have the discs if I want to pop in the 4Ks. You know what I mean? Like, I have the option, but I have the option.
Yeah.
But with Netflix, you will not have, and that's the thing. Like, if they acquire WB, all those films I mentioned at the top, Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, good fucking luck buying those on 4K. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
It's all going to go. It's all go.
Disappear. Yeah.
And the other thing is Netflix. There's one of this last thing I'm gonna say about it, because I'm getting too angry. One of the things, the headlines was that it was like Netflix, quote, expects to keep releasing Warner Brothers films theatrically. And I'm like, expects is the big bold word.
That's the key word in
that's the lie
headline. Yeah.
They're going to, and I retweeted that with that meme from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, when Kirk is talking with Spock about going to meet the Klingons, and Kirk's like, don't trust them, don't believe them. And it's like, that is it.
This is like election campaigns.
It is.
We will do this, and then when they get in power, they don't do any of it.
Nope.
And it's just like the same all the time.
So, I'm bummed by this. I
am, and like I say, it's the lack of choice. It's the removal of choice, and like you say, you should be able to, if you want. I mean, not everyone's a film collector like we are, but if you want, you should be able to go and buy the Blu-ray of Casablanca from whichever shop you want to buy it from, and put it on your shelf.
Yes.
And if you take away that choice, then it's a sad state of affairs. It really is.
I agree. We have one brand new comment in the chat. Just forget to quickly highlight it. His name is Daddy Stabs. What a name!
What a name!
Says, I love film noir. I'm an avid tabletop RPG gamer and want to run a noir campaign. I am not a RPG gamer because I've never been good at it.
Me too. Can never work out the controls.
But
work out gaming.
I think an RPG game, noir campaign sounds amazing, and
me too.
I'd give that a go. I would let someone try and show me the ropes properly on that, and there we go.
Definitely.
But well, I guess that's our big rant about the Netflix WB stuff. I mean, there's still a question in the air. It could not happen, but it probably will happen.
I think it probably will. I think it probably will.
I mean, I know. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, there's other people who don't want it to happen, who are in political power. That I think they should be focusing on. I don't know, world stuff. But whatever. Whatever. What do I know? Shall we do our roundups?
Yeah.
All right. These are films and shows and stuff that we're going to give little mini reviews of all of these. Nothing too in depth, but just these are things that we've seen throughout the year that just for one reason or another didn't make the show, whether we just either didn't come out in time or we didn't think it was worthy enough or whatever. So here we go. I'll kick off.
Yeah.
The first one I saw that I want to talk about was Ballad of a Small Player, directed by Edward Berger, starring Colin Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we've all been talking about Sugar, which starred Colin as well. We were, I'm a big fan of the show. I think you liked it. You liked it well enough as well. It's just
I did. Yeah, I did.
The otherworldliness sort of took you off guard.
It blindsided me a little bit.
Yes.
That's what I'll say.
I remember seeing the trailer for Ballad of a Small Player, and I was like, "Oh, that visually looks awesome." The director was the same guy who did Conclave, which I really enjoyed. Conclave, I thought I enjoyed
Conclave.
A very good film. The trailer for Ballad of a Small Player is drenched in neon lights and deep saturations, and all takes place in Macau and follows a kind of a desperate gambler trying to get one last big win. And I sat down and I watched it, and it's full of that wonderful neo-noir disillusion and cynicism. I think it has some really, honestly, truly some incredible visuals. I think the cinematography and blocking it really stuck with me. And I think Farrell gives an incredible performance. He's this sort of, he's not who it's quite obvious from the beginning, but he's not exactly who he presents himself to be. That's all I'll say. But he also deals with like hyper anxiety and is, the performance he has with his, like, given these panic attacks and this franticness is really a super strong and impressive performance. It's also a bit Lynchian, which, Matt, I think you would probably love or hate. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And I say that because some of the Lynchian aspects, there are moments where I'm sort of, you're sort of like, I don't really know what's real and what's not. And are we in a dream now, or maybe we're not, or is this real or not? There's a lot of questioning. However, I can't deny that at some point it becomes really, really quite predictable.
Right.
There's a reveal that's like, oh, see all this stuff, ha 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 ha, ba 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 ba. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but it was like, oh well, no, I mean, like, I got that. So wait, are you trying to like reveal it in a way that like you thought the audience didn't get it? Because like I got it. So this, like, so it was one of those ones that I thought was visually really good. Narratively had some very interesting ideas, very interesting characters, but maybe the full execution of it didn't quite land as well as it could have. That being said, I would say it's worth watching. I enjoyed it. It's one of the few Netflix movies that I was like, all right, yeah, that was fine. Will it stay with me? No.
No.
I don't think in the grand scheme of things that I've seen, like it's not gonna stick with me. But it's a small recommendation for a Netflix film.
Well, I might have a look at that because it's got one of my favorite actors in it. Who's a man called Alex Jennings.
Mm.
And Alex Jennings he's a British actor. He's superb.
He's
really
great.
good.
He's really good in it.
Everything I've seen him in, he's been brilliant in.
Yeah.
He's one of those actors who is, I know this sounds stupid, but he's always different, and he's either charming and ruthless or he's charming and horrendous, or he's hilarious. I mean, his turn as Alan Bennett in Lady in the Van is brilliant. So I might give that a bit of a look.
Yeah. What's yours? What's your first?
My first is something called The Crow Girl. Now, I found this. It's an adaptation of a book. It's a TV adaptation of a book on for Paramount, and I found it by chance because I didn't know it was out. But I'd read the book, and the book is one of the most harrowing books I've ever read. It's a really haunting book. It's a long novel, a very long novel, but it's not a novel that outstays its welcome. But it is a novel that you've really got to dig deep to read. The story, the sort of premise is quite, not cliched, but you've seen it before. So it's a cop and a psychologist teaming up to find a serial killer.
Cool.
All very Silence of the Lambs type thing, But what you get is what when the story starts to unravel and be revealed, it's all about historic abuse, and the way it's done, it's not gratuitous in any way. It's not sort of it's not shying away from the topic, but nor is it glorifying it, or nor is it trivializing it. It's really well done.
Yeah.
And it was one of those books that when I finished it, it lingers in your memory. Lingers, not in a nice way, I have to say. Not in a sort of well, that was a fun ride. Quite the opposite. It really makes you sit back and think about what this sort of stuff does to people. And there's a twist at the end of it. It's a really dark investigation, and it's about identity, it's about trauma, it's about grief, and it's been turned into this TV series. I think there's 6 episodes, which is sort of par for the course. But it's a massive book, so I don't. In this instance, I don't feel 6 episodes is unreasonable because the book is quite unwieldy. It's quite dense.
Yeah.
And it's just something that it's dark, it's thrilling, it's challenging. It's all the things that I like. It's all the things that some Netflix productions aren't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So and it's I recommend it. I mean, it's reviews have been good. The cast is good. So the cast is headed by Catherine Kelly, who's always worth watching. Eve Miles and Dougray Scott as a detective. And it's just one of those things that once you start, you can't stop. It sinks its claws into you, and I like things like that. I think they're few and far between.
Nice. I mean, it sounds good. I mean, looking at it, I'm like, this looks like fun. It has passed me by. I mean, I have Paramount, but this is one that has definitely passed me by. But I'll have to check it out.
Well, like I say, I only found I don't know what the marketing's been like, but I only found it by accident, and to the extent that I thought, is that book I read? Yeah. and so I clicked on it to see, and immediately recognised the story and the premise, and so it is. My God, someone's dared to make a TV series of it. So that's definitely got to be one that you've got to look into.
Yeah, well, Paramount are terrible with their advertising unless they're shoving terrible new Star Trek down your throats. They don't know how to advertise anything at all. It is quite shocking how bad they are at advertising the stuff on their platform.
Well, I mean, they're lucky I found it, I suppose, because I had no idea it existed.
Yeah. I mean, same. And it's funny because like then I my list is full of these sorts of like films and shows. So even this not falling into my feed at some point is like, what are you doing, Paramount?
Yeah.
But no, that sounds good. That sounds good. My next one is a 2025 film called Eeny Meeny, which is a terrible title, but that's suiting because it's a terrible film. It's over on Disney. It's directed and written by a guy named Sean Simmons. He's a creator and writer on the show The Continental, the John Wick Amazon Prime spinoff show that I never watched because I've had enough of that. And it stars Samara Weaving, who looks exactly like Margot Robbie. This is the film I remember. If you remember, I sent, "Oh, that's that film with Margot Robbie," and you're like, "No, it's not." I was like, "No, it is. See, there she is." And I was like, "Oh my god, it's she looks like a spitting image of Margot Robbie." That legit thought it was Margot. The premise is that it's about a quote reformed teenage getaway driver is dragged back into her unsavory past when a former employer offers her a chance to save the life of her chronically unreliable ex-boyfriend. Fun premise. I'm down with it. You know what I mean? Like this sounds like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's dog shit straight out the gate. It just doesn't. Unfortunately, it just felt like a cheap knockoff of like. It's like a Poundland version of Drive meets Baby Driver.
Oh, right.
It also doesn't really know if it's trying to be comedy or be serious, and they drop comedy that's like that cheap Marvel comedy that just grates on me to no end. But like, it says here that she's a reformed teenage getaway driver. At no point do you see that at the beginning of the film. At the beginning of the film, there's a scene of her at like age 14 where her like, I don't know, alcoholic parents get into her car and they're driving, and then the cops pull them over, and the dad's like, "Drive away, your mom has cocaine in her pocket. They'll take her to prison. You'll go to juvie or whatever, I don't know, foster care. So drive like I taught you." And then she just drives away. So that's the only. And I'll be honest, I didn't finish the film. I gave it a good chunk of time and thought, I'm getting so bored and so annoyed that I stopped it. But, in terms of saying reformed teenage getaway driver, that's the only thing I saw about that within the first like hour, which I'm like, where's the rest? And also this whole like this unreliable ex-boyfriend, like, she says being dragged back into her unsavory past. The thing is, when we pick up with her in modern day, like, she's not living in like a nice present. Her present is also unsavory.
Right.
So it's like, at no point is she dragged back into an unsavory situation. Just like her life is just unsavory.
She's just never left it.
Yes. And then suddenly she's pregnant, and it's her ex-boyfriend's. It was a fucking shit show. And it's a shame because, again, the premise is a good premise, had potential, but the execution of this just felt so cheap, so forgettable.
Yeah. It sounds a bit like that. What was the name of that? Night Always Comes.
Night Always Comes.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting from what you're saying.
Yep.
Nice setup, but just a terrible execution, and like, she's just useless.
Yes, yeah, and basically, yes, that was. They're sort of on par with each other, I would say.
Wow.
I would say at least there are a couple of decent performances in Night. In Night Always Comes, there is not any decent performances, and
what a shame.
So skip that one, guys.
It's so frustrating when there's a really good setup, or a really good sort of initial premise, and they haven't got the chops to bring it alive. whether that's writing, acting, or directing. It's a really, it's really frustrating, I find.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I sit there saying, and I'm not saying that, I'm William Shakespeare, but I sit there saying, no, what they should have done was this.
Yes.
If they'd gone down that route, it would have done this, and then we would have had that, and it would have been much better.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're rewriting it while you're watching it, that's not a
bad
good
news.
That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
My next one is something called The Island. And this is the BBC. But it's the UK's first ever Gaelic drama. So the majority of it is subtitled.
Okay.
And it's called, and I apologize to any Gaelic speakers that are listening. Its actual title is An Tailian, and I am 100% certain I've got that wrong. But that's the way it reads. And it's called The Island, and it's my first recommendation was really dark and really sort of grim. This one is one of those TV shows where if you just want something that is intriguing enough to watch, but you don't want to be challenged too much because you've had a long day at work, this is ideal, And sometimes I just want to turn off and watch something that is sort of popcorn, and that's what this is. But it's got a setup again that I really find quite attractive, really, and that is that it's set on the Western Isles of Scotland, and this woman has left the community to go and be a copper mainland Scotland, but she is, because of her knowledge of the island, she is sent back to investigate when a wealthy landowner is murdered, and essentially it's a whodunit. But I've always liked that idea of stories about people going back to their communities that they've escaped from, essentially, because there was nothing for them there. And of course, she comes across people who remember her. There's a few family secrets. There are people that she's sort of pissed off while before she left. So she's up against a bit of prejudice. There are people who think she's abandoned the community and she's no right to come back. Things like that. And I think it was 4 episodes, maybe. And
yeah, that's what it says.
It was just a really, it's not going to set your world on fire. It certainly isn't going to linger long after the credits are finished. But it will pass your time. It will, and it will pass it engagingly. Okay. And sometimes I think you just need. You can spend too long sort of poring over this theme and that theme and being, gritty about things. Sometimes you just want to watch something that's going to entertain you, and this entertained me for all 4 episodes.
That's fair enough. I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, it's got the the kind of like screen grabs for the the thumbnails for each of the episodes, and they've got 2 very, very standard BBC thumbnails, and that is the female protagonist at the front with the secondary protagonist standing right behind her,
and
the grand scenery behind them of some big house and the sprawling fields, and then there's another one with them standing sort of in a similar pose with the cop car behind them and these like rolling hills, and
it's
such a BBC style, isn't it?
It is such a BBC style, yeah, it is such a BBC style, and in many ways, what you see is what you get. But it's got the added sort of intrigue factor of it being mostly in the Gaelic language.
That is interesting.
It's weird because sometimes there must be certain phrases that the Gaelic language doesn't recognise. So they'll be speaking in the Gaelic language and then suddenly go into English for a couple of words.
Yes,
and it's just fascinating to see a different culture, a different environment that we don't see in everyday life. Well, I don't see in everyday life.
No. I mean, there's been a big push to sort of revitalize and give attention to Gaelic work. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was in a Oxfam bookstore, and I found a Gaelic edition of the very first Harry Potter book in there.
Yeah, right.
And I bought it. I don't know Gaelic, but I bought it just for the fact that I was like, oh, this is interesting. There's a Gaelic edition of this. Like, it will probably never be worth anything, but it was just as an artifact. I was like, this is really cool, and I want to own that actually. So I bought it. So that's I don't know. It's quite neat. I think it's quite neat. This might be something I'll have to think about maybe over the Christmas period, giving a.
It's perfect for that Boxing Day. Perfect. When when you're sort of lying on the settee and you're eating chocolate and drinking sherry or whatever people do.
Well, I got a 2-year-old, so that none of that is happening.
You see, I said at the outset, no children at Christmas.
There is no lying on the settee, drinking sherry. Having your chocolate covered cherries. There's none of that going on.
That is what my Boxing Day is all gonna be.
I mean, that sounds. Oh, I would love that. I would love that, but that is not going to be ours.
I mean, I'm not like I say. The island will not set your world on fire. It's nothing you haven't seen before. It's just that it was pretty well done for those 4 hours across those 4 hours. And I enjoyed it.
So next on the list then is something we have both watched. Because interestingly, most of the things that we are talking about we haven't watched together. But this one we did, and that's because we talked about it. We talked about the opening of this, and then we were going to do an episode to cap off the rest of it, but we never got around to it for reasons. Things got in the way. But that is Dexter Resurrection.
Yes.
Now, and everyone knows, I was very excited about Dexter returning. I really loved Dexter New Blood, which was the kind of we're sorry we left the show, apology letter to the fans from the original showrunners who came back to do one more season of Dexter and sort of close off the story in a more satisfying way. Again, a lot of people didn't like New Blood's ending. I did. I thought it felt satisfactory. I thought it made sense. If that was the last we saw of Dexter, I would have been happy. I didn't loathe the ending of the original series of Dexter, but I get it's not where Dexter ends up that's the problem. It's everything else around him. And the show got to a point, the original show got to the point where it's like too many people are finding out who he is and what he is, and so therefore they have to keep killing everybody. And it just got a little old. So I like the fact that New Blood was like, here he is in a new place, new area, no one knows. He can kind of go back to just doing Dexter things, but in a different environment, which I thought was really great. Of course, then, the end of Dexter's New Blood, you think he's dead. He's not dead. They bring him back. And I think that they came up with a plausible enough explanation as to how he survived the gunshot wound. His recovery seems very quick, but whatever. But they very quickly set up that he's going to go to New York City, going to go there to find his son, Harrison, who is working in a hotel, to try and make amends. And also, there's a new serial killer operating in New York called the Dark Passenger, which is what he has always called his darker half. So he doesn't want someone using his moniker. So he is going out to get rid of this other serial killer. And, those first couple of episodes, we loved them. Yeah.
I remember saying on the episode we did, the scene in the hotel room with Harrison and, when he kills that fella, was absolutely
visceral,
spellbinding. Yeah. Brutal, visceral, and absolutely captivating. I was hooked.
Yes. I mean, I loved it. The setup was great. Those first couple of episodes where he's tracking the Dark Passenger and how he takes care of him, like all of it was like, oh, this is like Dexter is back. Yes. Yeah. And then it becomes stupid for about 5 more episodes.
Yes.
And it's once they introduce Peter Dinklage's character, Leon Prater, who he assembles this like dinner party of serial killers, and they all brag about their kills, and then Dexter's like, oh, I'm gonna kill them all one by one, blah 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 blah. And like he maybe almost teams up with one, and like at the same time, Batista has found Dexter and is on to Dexter and is trying to prove that he is the Bay Harbor Butcher again. And you're just like, why are we still on this Bay Harbor Butcher stuff? Move. Like, it worked for New Blood because the ending of New Blood was Dexter was dead, and Batista had found out that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher, so it would have come out in the media and so on and so forth. Yeah. But like, when you revive Dexter, when you keep him alive, well, now you have to stop all that. So how are you going to do that? Yeah. You're going to have Dexter kill Batista? That doesn't seem likely, but ultimately there's nothing else you can do. And then once again, a beloved character who doesn't need to die has to die. Yeah. And I just felt the Peter Dinklage stuff, the serial killer band of people just didn't, it just felt hokey and a bit too, I don't know, it felt a bit too hyperbolic for me. Like even for the world of Dexter, this just stretched into the world of like fantasy. Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
So here's the. I agree with all that. That it's two different stories to me. You know, one is a story about a sort of society of serial killers. You know, and one is a story about stopping a serial killer from taking your glory, essentially, in inverted commas.
Yes.
You know, and both of them, and I think I mentioned this on the show. Both of them have their roots in other works, because Ian Rankin's Black and Blue is about the serial killer Bible John coming to kill what he calls the upstart, who is a serial killer in the present day called Johnny Bible.
Yes.
And Bible John says, I'm not having this. So that's sort of the first half of Resurrection. And to me, the more compelling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's an Agatha Christie book called Cards on the Table, which is about a man who, in inverted commas, collects murderers.
Yes.
And they're murderers who've got away with the crime.
Yeah.
And to me, that's pretty much Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so neither of these two stories are original, but one is far more compelling than the other. And if the whole series had been trying to find this imposter and stop him, that would have been a much darker, for me, and a much grittier story to tell. Whereas, you're right, the Peter Dinklage thing starts to look a bit like pantomime.
Yes. It was very frustrating. Very frustrating.
And uneven. I thought uneven.
Oh, very uneven. Very, because there's bits in there that, like, you know, for example, like with his son Harrison, played by Jack Alcott. Great actor, great performance from. I mean, most people, the acting was fine in this, and the visuals of this thing was fine, but just the story was just, it became very, as you said, uneven. But like Harrison's storyline goes from he's working in this hotel, he's sleeping in this hotel because he's literally homeless. But he's sort of got this little romance with a girl who works the hotel, and they almost kiss, and then they don't. So you think they're going to have a will they won't they situation, and then just suddenly, poof, she's gone. And he starts this romance up with this blonde chick who looks like she's going to give you herpes on campus, because he's going to go to some New York school for forensics or something like that. And then suddenly, like, well, what happened to the other girl who was like nice and sweet, and now you're with this girl who's like, really, she's really quite, her character comes, it's cliched, but it's frustrating because she comes across quite like raunchy. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand. Like, what are you doing with this character? Like, are we meant to like her? Are we meant to dislike her? Like, why is Harrison, like, she comes across like the girl you make the mistake with.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Because he really should be with the other girl.
Yeah.
But then they completely abandon her, and I'm like, and it was weird. It was weird, very uneven. Didn't like that.
Didn't like the cops.
Oh my God, the cops. I mean, there's there's two cops. There's the main lady cop named Claudette, who is like this fucking stupid Sherlock knockoff. She's clearly like some sort of neurodivergent, whatever the fuck.
She's a ripoff.
I say that, but let me just caveat that I say that as someone who is neurodivergent, so I feel like I can say it. I feel like I can say it.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to come at me, whatever they were doing with that was fucking stupid. But and she's like always walking around with these headphones in, listening to Staying Alive. How cliche can you get?
Yeah, absolutely. She's a badly written version of the superb detective in The Bridge, the Scandinavian series, The Bridge, who is also neurodiverse, and she is one of those people who has no filter. But she can see things straight away. She's absolutely on point on the procedure, but she's also got the inspiration, and she's a brilliantly realized character, both on the script and in the performance. And if people out there haven't seen the original TV series of The Bridge, it's brilliant. And she is just a knockoff of it, and it really annoyed me because she's not even a good one. She's a terrible knockoff of it. And that I had that same Sherlock feel, and the BBC Sherlock, and I can't stand that series. And they were just irritating. Both coppers were irritating.
Yes, her the other guy. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. Genuinely, this is one of those moments where I'm watching this show and I'm just like, every time these coppers come on the screen, and I sink and I'm bored and I want them to go away. Yeah. It's the antithesis of the original Dexter show, where it's like I loved all of those characters: Masuka, Batista, LaGuerta, Deb. I loved them all. They were great.
When your central character is a killer, so the cops are after him, and he is also after the main villain, then it creates a conflict, and it creates jeopardy, and it creates tension.
Yeah,
and it creates whose side are you on?
Yeah,
discussions.
Yeah,
I was never on these cops' sides. I wanted them to fail at every opportunity.
I did too. I think it was such a missed opportunity, because it's like what Dexter needed to do. And again, when you're rewriting it, that's when there's problems.
Yeah.
Like Dexter worked so well when he was blood spatter guy for the Miami Metropolitan Police Department, having access to crime scenes and access to police data to be able to go and like solve the crimes before the police proper, and take worse people off the street. Right.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. He's back. He's alive. His identity has been restored by Batista. They need to do something with Batista so that everything is smoothed over and Batista doesn't believe that he's the Bay Harbor Butcher. And then one of two options. You either fucking bring him back to Miami, or you let him join the police department in New York and he works out of New York.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Nope. What the fuck did they do? Will Prater has this endless list of serial killers and killers worldwide, and at the end of the series he has the whole list along with Prater's big giant yacht. Like, how are you going to pay for that yacht, Dexter? How are you going to pay for the upkeep on that yacht, sir? It's not even in your name, dude. Like, you just took this giant yacht. Like, what are you doing? But also, what, are you going to become some globetrotter Avenger now?
Yeah.
Like, Dexter hates travel. He hates that shit. That's not his life. Like, it ended on a note of like, jumping the shark. It's like, people didn't like the original ending. I thought they made up for it with New Blood. Resurrection, which is a title that's like, how long are you going to keep that going? Because that is like the title of your first episode.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
keep this concept of resurrection unless he's going to die every season and be resurrected every new season.
Yeah. Yeah, this should have been called something else. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head what, but Resurrection should have been the title of the first episode, and it should have had an overarching story title. You know,
yes, yeah,
like I don't know, Dexter, something else.
yes, something else, you know. But so I love Michael C. Hall. I love the character of Dexter. I love the books. I love the shows generally. I'm a big fan. I don't know. This one was. I'm not saying it's not worth watching, but it starts strong. The middle is very clunky, and then the ending is fine. It's fine.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
You know. Yeah.
I just found myself. I was sorry when he finds the imposter. You know, because I thought that was the better story.
I thought that was a season arc. I thought, all right, here we go, season arc.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, I can't have somebody using my name. You know, killing in my name. I will stop them.
Yeah.
You know, because that was always what I understood Dexter was. He killed the ones that were worse than he was. You know, but this gave it a sort of personal.
Yes.
Connection, you know, and a personal motive.
Yes.
And if you had that, and you had all the stuff with Harrison as a subplot, you know, find the father and son subplot, you would have had a cracking TV show.
Yeah, you would have, but it's a shame. It's a shame. So it's like a 50-50 recommendation. It's like, if you like Dexter, I guess watch it. You know, go in being warned. But it was one of those ones that I think we got to the point where something was happening. We couldn't actually do like a Dexter wrap up episode. And I think we talked about it. I was like, let's just put it at the end of the year wrap up, because I don't think it's worth a whole episode.
No, I think I would have struggled. I have to say, I think I would have struggled.
There we go. What's your next one? Unless you have anything else to say about Dexter Resurrection.
Well, my next. No, I have nothing more to say about Dexter Resurrection. Starts well and tapers off. That's, you know, it's not alone in that either. Now my next choice is a strange one because I've not seen it.
Okay, all right? How are we going to pull this one off?
Because I've read the book.
Yikes!
It's The Death of Bunny Monroe.
Okay, so it's a recommendation based on having read the book.
It's based on having read the book, and it's based on the fact that Matt Smith is playing the lead.
And I do love Matt Smith. He was in one of my favorite films this year.
Mine's one of mine as well. I think we that's one thing we have agreed on choice wise. So the book is written by Nick Cave of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, who is they're one of my favorite bands, or have been for a long time. And the book, I read the book when it came out. It's like 2009, and it's about a door-to-door salesman, a traveling door-to-door salesman who goes on this road trip with his son to Brighton at the same time that a serial killer is on the loose. And it's just a portrait of his sort of breakdown and the relationship with his son. And the book was in turn hilarious, tragic, exciting, and just downright off the wall. And loved every page. Really good. And again, I just by chance saw that they turned it into a TV series with Matt Smith. And I just thought, well, gotta watch that. You know, I mean, that's just desperately waiting for me to watch it. But I just haven't sat down and done it yet. So I'm looking forward to watching it. And if anyone has started watching it, I'd be interested to know what they think, especially if they've read the book. But I just thought it was something that I'm so looking forward to. I was going to recommend it even though I've not seen it.
Right. Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. It's more not necessarily a recommendation, but it's one you're looking forward to.
It's one I'm looking forward to. It's not. I can't recommend it because I've not seen it, but it's one I'm looking forward to. The trailers, I've seen the trailers. The trailers look good. The trailers look really good. and the lad playing his son really looks as if he's got a career ahead of him.
Mm.
You know, and Matt Smith is a great choice for the title role.
He is.
You know, so and he was brilliant in one of the films that we'll talk about later.
Yes, indeed. So my next one, which I'll be very quick on this one, is we're still in the world of Dexter, and that is Dexter Original Sin, which was the prequel to. They did a prequel series, and the reason I'm including it is because it technically ended at the beginning of 2025, so it's why I'm putting it in there. I thought the guy playing young Dexter, Patrick Gibson, was really good. Everyone else was terrible. It was Christian Slater playing Dexter's dad was just so, he was just playing Christian Slater. It didn't gel with me. And they did this thing where they like introduced lots of new characters, but then did nothing with them. Like, there was a lady played by Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, who was like running the blood spatter department, but like she had like nothing to do the whole season. And there were other people who he was kind of, Dexter would sort of talk to, nothing to do with, but they would sort of be there. And Deb, who at this point in time is still in high school, all of her storylines are like pathetic juvenile high school melodrama that just left me bashing my head against the wall. And frustratingly, I would say the actress who played Deb was more of a pastiche of Deb. Like, everyone knows that Deb is very like foul mouth and crass. This girl, she was acting like she was foul mouth and crass. Like, I didn't buy that she was a young version of Deb in the way that I at least bought that the guy playing young Dexter could be Michael C. Hall at some point. But the other big problem is that ultimately this show was just a desperate attempt to return to Miami, because they've pushed Dexter so far, old Dexter so far, that he just can't return to Miami. So the only way to do that is, we got this prequel series that's set 10 years before the original show. It's both it's both what a prequel and a period piece. So it's 90s nostalgia. But it just when the whole Skydance Paramount merger happened, Dexter Original Sin was one of the first things to get axed, and I think makes sense. I think someone said, you have two Dexter shows going on at the same time. One has your original Dexter, one has some young guy. Where are we going to put our money? We're going to put it into one Dexter show, because New Blood or Resurrection has been greenlit for a sequel. We're not going to have two Dexter shows. This isn't Star Trek. This isn't Star Trek. Because essentially you're going to have two shows doing the exact same thing, just the same guy at different points in his life. It was a weird idea. It was a weird idea to have two shows at the same time. Yeah,
it is a weird idea, isn't it? I mean, you can have too much of a good thing, can't you?
Yes.
So,
but yeah, I as much as I wanted to love it, I couldn't get behind really much of any of Original Sin. And one of the main reasons is, as an origin story, like the first season of Dexter well and truly covers this ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I mentioned this. Yeah, and I think we mentioned this when we talked about Resurrection. If you're going to do prequels, if you're going to do young insert fictional character here, you've got to make sure, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure that it can stand on its own two legs. And I think the example I gave was Endeavour.
Yes, you did. Yes.
When there's enough of who he becomes, who that character becomes later on, in there to see it, but it's not slavish. And as a character, Endeavour Morse, as opposed to Inspector Morse, stands on his own 2 feet with his own world and his own cast of characters. And that sounds like an obvious thing to do, but it's not easy, because too many of them are just catch penny, and they don't work the same. They don't work as well as Endeavour does because of the ingredients Endeavour's got. And I sort of get that impression with Original Sin.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a disappointment. It was sort of, yeah, they were jumping the shark all over. I just thought, man, you went from one good series of Dexter New Blood to just throwing all kinds of crap, and like this is just like you need to learn when to stop. But
yeah,
there we are. That's something else I watched. And it's unfortunate. I think most of these roundups are, well, there's a reason why they didn't make the main show.
yeah, there is. Yeah,
there we go. What's your next one?
Well, I just want to briefly mention, and again, this is one I've not seen, but I just want to mention this new Watson TV series. That's
need to say the things that we're talking about.
I just don't know why there's a Watson TV series. Don't know why.
Well, I mean, that is the question. That is.
Don't know why they're doing it. You know, and it just seems to me to be cashing in. And I think they should. You know, I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, as everyone knows, but I don't see the point in a Watson show on his own. To be quite honest.
No, I mean contemporary setting again,
and contemporary setting. You know, we've been there, we've done this.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be that once something is out of copyright, people flog it to death.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. My next serious one is not so much. It's not a 2025 release, but it's a film I discovered in 2025. And it's a film called Storm Warning.
Okay.
It's a noir B movie, and I think we might cover it at some point, maybe. But it's a noir B movie, starring of all people Ronald Reagan, and
there you go,
Ginger Rogers, and Doris Day. Now that doesn't seem like I put something on our Facebook page saying that doesn't seem like a film noir trio, but I really enjoyed this film. I had no expectations of it. I didn't know what to expect from it. And I had a really good time for 82 minutes, whatever it was. The story is that Ginger Rogers and Doris Day are sisters. You have to believe that. That's the biggest pill that the film asks you to swallow. And Doris Day is getting married to this like thug, essentially. And Ginger Rogers is stopping over in this little hick town that they live in. And she witnesses a murder, and it's the KKK killed this bloke. And when she gets to Doris Day's house, and she sees the faces of a couple of them, and when she gets to Doris Day's house, of course, the fiance is one of them. And it's the question of what Ginger Rogers does with that information. And it becomes, and Ronald Reagan is like the town lawyer, the DA, I suppose, of this place, and he's desperate to bring down the Klan, and he knows that Ginger Rogers knows something, and it's the story of how he gets her to do the right thing and what she has to go through to do the right thing. And it was just a really enjoyable 80 minutes. I really enjoyed. There's a significant theme that they don't address, which is very odd. Given the subject matter they've chosen to, because I don't think there's any mention of racism at all in the film. the Klan is there to profit. It's to make a profit, and if Ginger Rogers exposes them, they lose their money. You know, and you think if you've got the sort of courage, is that the right word, to put, this is 1952, I think, to put the Klan in your film, surely you've got the guts to talk about what they actually were about and are about. But nevertheless,
is this a Hays Code situation? Are they allowed?
I don't know if it's a Hays Code. Probably.
I'm assuming it's a code issue. They weren't allowed to go there, so they could
make it somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, then that begs the question of whether you could just make up your own secret society that terrorizes a town. But nevertheless, that point aside, you know, it's a melodrama, no doubt about it. It's a noir melodrama, but I just I'd never heard of it. I found it by chance. I think I read it about in an article, and it just seemed like a cast that I thought, well, I've got to see these try and do noir. These three people try and do noir.
Yeah.
And what can I say? I had a good time.
There we go. Well, that might be coming to Mean Streets sometime. Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows? Who knows? It'd be interesting to see what you think of it if we do.
Yeah. No, it sounds interesting. I'm interest is piqued. Interest is piqued.
I mean, it's a B movie. I should stress it's a B movie.
Yes.
You know, so
yeah. Well, Ronald
and it has all the things that you associate with B movies. But yeah, as far as these things go, it was a good one.
Good. My next one, this is my second to last. So I'm almost done with mine. Is the John Wick prequel, in-betweenquel, sequel, spin-off, Ballerina.
Yeah.
Starring Ana de Armas. I always say Ana de Armas. I don't know why. Ana de Armas. Boy, this franchise is fucking tired. Her role in James Bond No Time to Die was basically her audition for this film, and I hated her character in No Time to Die. She's not a character. She is a I don't know. She's like a character in a video game who you meet for 3 seconds, who gives you some information and then you never see again. That's basically what her function is in that movie. And it pisses me off. It's a waste. It's a waste of her, who I think is a very talented actress. I she's talented. She's beautiful. Like, come on. But a waste. Absolute waste.
Mm-hmm.
This was directed by Len Wiseman, who has a bunch of TV credits, but also Live Free, Die Hard, Underworld. Now, I mean, look, I'm teasing a little bit, but like, these John Wick movies, there's no beating around the bush as to what they are. They're basically 2-hour stunts, essentially. And unfortunately, outside of the first movie, there really isn't much of a story. There's just stunts and stunts upon stunts upon stunts upon stunts. Yeah. To the point where it's like, okay, you've now got like a 2.5 hour long movie. Like there's not even like a story here. You're just falling down a flight of stairs for about 30 minutes. Like, I'm kind of bored, guys. Yeah. There's and it's a shame. It's a shame because genuinely there are some incredible stunts. There's some incredible physical action. There's a lot of, great practical stuff going on. It's not just like Marvel CGI nonsense. It's just really disappointing that the franchise just doesn't have an interesting storyline anymore. And I had the same problem with this. Like, this had no attempt at like ingenuity. Like, this is set between John Wick 3 and 4, and half the time I'm sitting here trying to fucking remember what happens between 3 and 4, because 1, 2, and 3 all take place one right after another. And then there's some time between 3 and 4, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in this world right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. And Anna's character is a part of the world that John Wick came out of and grew up in, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, she has like a forced backstory of like, oh, they killed her dad when she was young and blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, I'm not interested in this. And they don't ever really properly develop it. And then at the end, she goes rogue, and she does what John Wick does, and she goes rogue and she kills someone she's not meant to kill. And this basically puts a hit on her, and John Wick is the one who is hired to come and take care of her, which I'm sort of like, does that really track with what happens between 3 and 4? Does he have time to do that? I thought he was off the grid. whatever. Maybe not. Maybe I'm getting confused. Again, it's like, I can't keep track what's going on with this stupid franchise. So then he goes after her, but then he decides to not kill her because, like, well, she's the protagonist in the movie. John Wick obviously isn't going to kill her. So he finds a reason, an excuse to not do it. But then, of course, at the end, she's in the exact same position as John Wick is, and that is there's a big hit on her, and she has to go hide in the world again. And you're like, well, you haven't done anything different to what these other John Wick movies have done. And I don't care how much cool action there is. This is just hard to believe. It's hard to invest in because I've seen this already. But the other thing, people probably get mad at me. I don't know. But like, Anna de Armas is tiny. She's tiny. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that she has what she's doing. I don't buy that she is able to take that level of a beating and continue.
Yeah.
And I know that this is the John Wick universe. I know that John Wick takes, the thing is, the first John Wick movie, you actually feel his pain, and you feel him staggering.
Yeah.
By the second movie onwards, they very quickly do away with concepts of pain. And he's just able to continue, which is this is also a criticism of John Wick. This isn't just a criticism on her. It's a criticism of this franchise. And it's like, you need to find she's a femme fatale. Fucking use that, man.
Use it.
Use that. Let her be manipulative in other ways and then get the upper hand in quick, close quarter fighting. You know what I mean? Like, use what she has to, her advantage to, come on. Like, it just felt like a missed opportunity. So I hope there is nothing more to come from this spinoff.
Yeah. I mean, did you have the feeling when it finished that you might as well have just watched the first John Wick movie?
Well, of course.
Again.
Of course.
Yeah. Because that's what that's the vibe. I mean, I've not seen Ballerina. I don't really know why I would, to be honest. The John Wick films are the John Wick films. I don't need a spin-off sort of thing. But I agree with the later John Wick, the sequels. They are the sort of, they're like those Bond films where he never breaks a sweat, and he can do everything. And that makes, the minute they can do everything, they become totally uninteresting to me. Because part of the point is that they are vulnerable and they are susceptible, as we all are, to pain and things going wrong in however that manifests itself.
Yeah.
If they're superheroes, there's no jeopardy. Unless, I mean, obviously superheroes have jeopardy, but they have their own rules. Those worlds have their own rules.
Yeah.
But if in the first film he is just a normal man who has a particular set of skills that he utilizes and has to sort of bring back out, that's one thing. He's the same man in the sequel, so why can he take more of a beating than not? And I agree with you about her being tiny. How does she withstand all these beatings from men that are 3 times the size of her?
Well, exactly. And
it just becomes an excuse for the stunts and an excuse to just, it's catch penny. It's just releasing a John Wick film for the sake of releasing a John Wick film because they know that people are going to go and watch it and forget about it.
Yeah.
But they've paid the money by the time they forget about it.
Yeah. Well, it's basically Avatar, essentially, which is a film that isn't about story. It isn't about character. It's about spectacle.
Yeah.
And I don't care about spectacle. Like, spectacle that is kind of informing and enhancing, good story, good character, good drama. I'm all for that. Mission Impossible, Fallout, perfect example of that. Good story, good character, fantastic action and stunts. The first John Wick movie is a solid story, very basic, but like there's enough to hang on to buy what's going on. But the franchise has devolved into just nothing but stunts, which means I just don't care about anybody.
I don't care about anybody. Where's the next car flip coming from? Who cares? And the problem, when the spectacle overtakes the story or is more important than the story, like you say, it's just it's boring. And all those films that are spectacle, like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars, the original Star Wars, if you take away those special effects, they are still compelling stories to watch and to be engaged in. and to be involved with, you know.
Yeah.
The same, I'd go so far as to say it's the same with the first Christopher Reeve Superman film. That if you could tell he was on wires or superimposed against the sky, it wouldn't matter to me, because the story itself and the performances and the actual heart of the narrative remain the same, and they're what you're interested in. The rest of it is
a good example of something that has like shoddy effects, possibly, but is gripping as shit, is the original Star Trek. I love it.
Yeah,
I will happily go watch William Shatner and those wobbly sets any day, and I am swept up in it every time. Don't care how.
It's about the story and the characters.
Yeah. And I love it. I love it.
All the stunts, special effects, and all that thing, they should complement but not replace.
Exactly. And unfortunately, that is the opposite of what is happening with the John Wick franchise. It's just like, well, oh boy, this thing is tired. This thing is tired. But anyway, that was another one I watched. So what's your next one?
Well, this is my last one, and it's having spent the first sort of 20 minutes of this live show slagging off Netflix. It's a Netflix.
Oh, there we go.
And it is absolutely bonkers. And it's Monster, the Ed Gein story.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Now, people know who Ed Gein is. He's the influence for Norman Bates, for Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's for Buffalo Bill in the Silence of the Lambs. He's the influence for all those types of characters. And this is ostensibly the true story of his life. What I can tell you is it's not the true story of his life, because it's just sort of so over the top. Charlie Hunnam plays Ed Gein with one of the oddest choices an actor's made for a while in what he does with his voice, because he doesn't sound anything like Ed Gein. He sounds like he's got a really sort of high-pitched child's voice. He has reasons for it. He said in interviews he has reasons for it, namely the fact that Gein's mum wanted him to be a girl and hoped he was a girl. So Charlie Hunnam says he tried to please his mum, so he would have talked like a girl. So that's why he does it. But Ed Gein didn't do that. But who cares?
Right. Yeah.
That's a sort of bit. That's a bit of dramatic license that I can accept, because what comes after it is just insane. It's just totally. They leave true history right at the door.
Right.
But what it does that's interesting is it shows the effect, because it references Psycho. So Tom Hollander is playing Alfred Hitchcock as he's planning the film Psycho. And then you see Toby Hooper, or someone playing Toby Hooper, planning the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you see the Silence of the Lambs being filmed, a representation of the Silence of the Lambs being filmed. And what it's doing is saying, this is the effect that these people have on the wider society, the more desensitized that society becomes. Which I think is an interesting point, and it's an interesting point to explore. And at one point, like, Gein's mother says to him, "You've changed the world." And in a way, sort of, he did, in a perverse sort of way. So this is a very stylized production, and it's to say it's a true story is just stretching it beyond belief. It's not. It's a representation of a bigger issue. It's
like Fargo. This is a true story. Just everything else is
everything happened. Sort of. Yeah. And in the end, like, the FBI come to Gein when he's in the psychiatric hospital, and they ask him to profile serial killers, just as they ask Hannibal Lecter to do it. Right. So you can see what it's trying to do, what it's trying to say. But I have to say, I mean, I was laughing out loud at some bits. Whether some of it intentionally, some of it I don't think I was meant to be laughing at. But it's 8 episodes, I think, and I just couldn't take my eyes off it. But
Fair
it is
enough.
bizarre. It is totally bizarre, and it is so stylized. It's almost too stylized for its own good. You know what I mean? But and like I say, if you know anything about Gein's story, then just forget about it for for the time you're watching this, because it's not real.
Right.
It's not a true representation of him. But it's fascinating, and like I say, the point I think it's trying to make, I think, is an interesting one.
There we go. Well, I've not seen it, but sounds like it comes as a strong recommendation.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe not for the reasons that people will expect it to be a recommendation, but yeah, it does.
Fair enough. The last film I saw was The Running Man, and it was very boring and very forgettable. That's all I'm going to say about it. We can move on. Let's move on. Yeah, because we have some audience questions and comments to go through, which I think are quite good. Right. So we asked people to let us know like some of their favorite moments of on Mean Streets over the last year. Your favorite episodes, things like that. And also what questions do you have for us that we could sort of dive into. Some of our favorite episodes, some of our audience's favorite episodes. We have a guest and friend of the show, Matthew S. Robinson, said that he was on our Third Man episode, which was a lot of fun, and Matt will be coming back at some point in the near future for another episode, which I'm very excited about. But he made the comment that The Strangers on a Train, which featured Barry Forshaw, was one of his favorite episodes this year, and that was a good one. We had a lot of fun with that one.
We had a lot of fun with Strangers on a Train. Yeah,
that was fun unpacking. Phil Dragash, who recently was on our Angel Heart episode, commented that Deep Cover was one of his favorites this year. Phil, now, so that was always interesting because Phil and I watched Deep Cover together, and while we were watching it, I was like, we need to do this for the podcast. And then I text you while we were watching it, and I was like, we need to do this like now because it's so good. And then I was like, oh, Phil, you should join us as well. And he's like, I can't. And I was like, shit. And I was like, well, why don't you come on for Angel Heart? And then he was like, okay, fine. And then it's just funny because like in terms of release schedule, Angel Heart came first. Deep Cover came second, even though we watched Deep Cover first and recorded it first. And it was, I only watched Deep Cover because Phil recommended it to me. So that was one of his favorites, and that was easily one of my favorites as well.
Me too. I had a lot of fun discussing that.
That was a good find. That was a really good find.
Yeah,
that was one
again,
I hadn't heard of or seen before.
Yeah, I'd never seen it, never heard of it.
Yeah. Love that one. Another friend of the podcast, Sage on Film.
Yeah.
As he's known on Twitter. I mentioned that Hell or High Water was one of his favorites of ours this year. This was one of those moments where it's like that film was one that had apparently been on his list for a very long time, but just hadn't gotten around to watching it. And the episode sort of spurred him to finally pop that DVD in and watch it, and loved it. And I mean I'd seen Hell or High Water before we covered it, and it is one of my favorite films. Probably one of my favorite ones that we covered this year. Like it was just
easily
such a good movie. I love it. And I like that. Like we were able to like cover some stuff that inspired listeners to like hunt the thing down and watch the thing. I'm like, that's job well done.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. But I'd not seen Hell or High Water. I'm with Sage on Film. I'd not seen it either. But I go further and say I didn't even know about it until you text me and said we should do this. And I don't know if we say it on the show or not, but I don't remember it coming out. I don't remember ever seeing it, knowing anything about it. And it was what's good about the podcast is you watch films that you've never heard of, and B, you might not have watched in regular circumstances. And that can be a good thing, or it can be a bad thing. And Hell or High Water was definitely a good one. I mean, that's instantly become a favorite of mine now. I was blown away by that film. Thought it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, that was one that's like, own this film. This film is
Yeah,
worth owning. It's again, this is one of those visually, like cinematography is fantastic. The way that they capture the like desolate
yeah.
landscape
The poverty.
of yeah, and poverty, like it's so vivid, and you can
Yeah,
feel it. You can feel it, like it's
yeah.
Jeff Bridges is amazing, Chris Pine is amazing.
And the
Like,
twist is amazing. The twist ending is amazing.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean it's a soft twist if you know what I mean, but
sure.
it's it's a really convincing one, and it is a rug puller,
Yes,
and it leads to one of the best endings I've seen all year, which is total stalemate, essentially. You know,
definitely. Definitely. I loved it. It's yeah, so I'm glad, Sage. I'm glad you like that one. Um
if
okay.
Sage hadn't picked that, that would have been one of my picks for the favorite show of the year. You know,
Okay, there you go. There you go. Um Sage also asks, Dick Powell as Marlowe in Murder My Sweet. It says, "What a surprise! Um, was he a surprise to us?" You
was
can
it
go first.
okay? Um, well, I saw this film I think when I was about 14 for the first time, so I didn't know who Dick Powell was.
Mhm,
So, in a literal sense, no, because I had nothing to
mhm,
compare it to. Um, However, what did surprise me at the time and since is just how good he is, and how I'd seen The Big Sleep by this time,
mhm.
so I was expecting Bogart was my standard, and Dick Powell instantly replaced him
Yeah,
because I think he's far better than Bogart as Philip Marlowe,
definitely.
and I've thought that since seeing since I was 14. What can I
Mhm,
say? So yeah, but then when reading around the subject, he's known as a song and dance man, and wanted to do tougher roles, grittier roles, and I suspect at the time it's part of the reason the title was slightly changed, because people thought "Farewell, My Lovely" would have been a musical if Dick
mhm.
Powell was in it. And as title changes go, it's a pretty good one, I think, to Murder My
It's
Sweet.
a great change. It's a
It's a
great
great
change.
change. Um, and I can imagine the surprise and the, if not sort of hostility, is that the right word? I think about when Daniel Craig was cast as Bond, when Michael Keaton was cast as Batman. I suspect this is the 1940s equivalent. Dick Powell is a private eye. What are you talking about? The song and
Yeah,
dance man.
yeah,
But then he wipes the floor away with the critics and
yeah.
the prejudices.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was gonna say as well. Like that compares the Michael Keaton, the even the Heath Ledger comparison as well. That like
mm,
they're known for this sort of thing, and I guess so. Context is important because like you, it's like I didn't have Dick Powell's filmography in my head when I first saw Murder My Sweet. I'm not well versed in musicals and stuff. They're
no, I
not
mean,
the thing I'm drawn
nor
to.
me.
So I do that. But so I didn't have that either. But when you think of context, when you know what he was known for and going into, definitely I can see that. I can see why that was probably a surprise at the time, and probably would have surprised me had I invested time in seeing that earlier stuff and then suddenly came to Murder My Sweet
Yeah,
and been like, oh my god, it's the same guy
yeah.
who was in the same way that we think of that with Michael Keaton or Heath Ledger. But I second that. I agree. I he is my favorite Marlowe on screen. He is the closest Marlowe I think we've ever had to a
I do. Yeah,
solid
I do.
representation. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Bogart is Marlowe enough, but he's basically playing Sam Spade.
Hmm.
He's not doing anything that different, and I don't necessarily think I mean, both performances are good, but they're not even Bogart's best. Um, but they're fun. They're
Hmm.
I'm not knocking Bogart, but
No, no, no,
uh,
nor am I. Quite the
but
opposite.
Powell's he really brought Marlowe to life in a way that like the only other adaptations of Marlowe that I felt match this are the old radio serials.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. is that Gerald Moyer or whatever he's called?
Yeah, Gerald Moyer. Yeah. That's it. That's the only thing that I think comes close to matching a solid adaptation of Marlowe, and that's just all radio, it's just all voice.
I have a sneaking liking for Mitchum in Farewell My Lovely as an older Marlowe.
I don't dislike him,
but he isn't Dick Powell. I mean, the fact that he's playing an older Marlowe in Marlowe's correct time period is a bit of a, you do have to sort of swallow that.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's interesting.
No, and I love that film. I think that film's a superb,
definitely
entry in the Marlowe's screen canon.
Yeah,
but if I was asked to pick only one, I would take Murder My Sweet because it's such a good adaptation. And Dick Powell is, as you say, the closest that I think we've got.
Yeah, he's
to the Marlowe that you see on the screen. Bogart is playing Sam Spade. Bogart is too.
Bogart's playing Bogart in both movies, and I think that's my problem.
Yeah. But Marlowe's softer edge than Sam Spade, and I don't get that with Bogart's Marlowe. Bogart's Marlowe is a tough guy.
Yeah.
To me, Marlowe is a tough guy when he needs to be, but but at his core, I don't think he is. I think he's a romantic, and Dick Powell gets that. That definitely comes across.
Yeah. No,
the answer is it would have been a surprise if I'd known anything about him when I first saw it.
I think so.
And I can understand why it was a surprise at the time.
Yes, yeah. Another question that came in. This is a fun one. Was Shane Black's Play Dirty the biggest disappointment of the year?
Well, it was one of them.
Yeah, that's literally my note says one of them.
So does mine. If I could show you this note, I would. If I could share the screen, I would. But mine says one of them. That's all I've put. And I think that's because I didn't know the book that this was based on. And I think I say that in the episode. My disappointment is that it's Shane Black. And this is no Nice Guys.
Well, it's no Nice Guys. It's no Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
It's no Kiss Kiss Bang
Lethal
Bang.
Weapon. It's no
Lethal Weapon. No.
Not even Long Kiss Goodnight.
No. And the disappointment.
Not even Iron Man 3.
It's not even that. No. And so it's certainly one of the biggest disappointments of the year, and it's because it's not. I went in thinking, oh, this will be good. Who cares about Mark Wahlberg? I can stomach him for 2 hours because this is Shane Black, and I didn't get anywhere near the feeling I got when I watched The Nice Guys, Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and all those others.
Yeah, I would say in terms of the biggest, in terms of the film I was looking forward to some degree, this is complicated. Play Dirty is complicated because it already had Mark Wahlberg starring in it. That already has red flag all over it. Like all the red flags are burying this thing because I'm like, Wahlberg is just not a good actor. He's like Jared Leto. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It's like
I think I say on the episode, like I've never said, "Oh, that's got Mark Wahlberg in. We should watch that."
Yes.
If anything, I say, "Oh, it's got Mark Wahlberg in it."
Yeah. Well, earlier this year, we were on Steve's podcast, the Boxing Movie Podcast, and we talked about what was that film with Mark Wahlberg and Batman, Christian Bale, the boxing movie.
Yeah, the boxing one.
Whatever that one was, it's gone out of my head now. But that was one of those movies where it's like Christian Bale was like fantastic.
The fighter.
That's it, the fighter. But Christian Bale was fantastic in that. But Mark Wahlberg like kept like sagging the whole fucking film. Yeah, and it's like, God, man, go away with your stupid like confused face every scene. Like,
yeah, he's not good.
Get a realization or something, sir. It's just like so him already being cast in this was a huge red flag. And he delivered exactly what I thought he would deliver, and that is a Wahlberg performance that is just so boring and predictable. That I was like, well, what else could it have been? What else could it have been? I don't know.
Well, this is the thing, like with Mark Wahlberg, you get what you expect.
Yeah. And I think also we mentioned this in our Play Dirty episode, which had Sergio join us from the Tipping My Fedora. I don't know why. For some reason, that just completely went that tipped out of my head for some reason. Sorry, Sergio. What was I saying? Crap. I got so tripped up on trying to remember
we mentioned something on the episode about, you were talking about Mark Wahlberg always being the same.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Whatever.
I lost it now, but
it was definitely a disappointment.
It was a big disappointment. I think it could have been something fun. It could have been a Nice Guys equivalent. I remember now. One of the things we said on the episode was that because we love Shane Black, I'm a huge Shane Black fan.
Yeah.
I think he's wonderful. This is one of those rare moments where I really don't lay the blame at the foot of the director, and I lay the blame on Amazon, because I feel like this is almost like it didn't even feel like a Shane Black movie in the same way that The Predator didn't feel like a Shane Black movie either. But it had his name on it and it had a couple of Shane Black isms, but never fully, you watch Lethal Weapon, you watch Lethal Weapon 2, even though he was, the rewrites on that, or you watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or you watch The Nice Guys, there is a Shane Black style to all of that is just not here. Like,
yeah, we did talk about that, didn't we? And we talked about whether or not he was, his original vision was sort of suffocated.
I think it was. So it's like I'm disappointed in the film. I'm disappointed for Shane Black, because the guy can cook and they did not allow him to cook.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was a bad one. Now I will mention two other duds. There's one that I'm not going to mention because it's one that we have covered that will release in February.
All right. Okay.
So I'm not going to mention that one. The other one I will mention is that, and this is like, these are like honorary duds, I guess. And that is Night Always Comes, which was a huge, expectations were not super high, but what level they were still not met at all. But the biggest non-2025 year film that we watched that I thought was quite bad. It's tied for pre-2025 ones, and that is Angels with Dirty Faces and The Great Muppet Caper.
Well,
both of those were disasters in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly with you on The Great Muppet Caper. I've never seen anything so surreal in all my life, and I'm a David Lynch fan.
True.
When the sight of like a full-grown Miss Piggy was just enough to
horrifying,
terrifying.
It really was.
And I'm ashamed to say, maybe I still don't really understand it, what was going on, or indeed what it wanted to be.
No.
But I'm not going to agree about Angels with Dirty Faces. I hate the kids. The kids are poor.
Stupid sons of bitches.
But Cagney's brilliant, and I think I say in the episode it lives for its ending, and the ending is a killer for me.
It does. It had its moments, but I think overall, it's not the sum of its the sum of its parts. It just doesn't hold. It's like that ending is great. Some of the beginning stuff is great, but everything else that makes up this movie, I was bummed. I was like, really?
I find it interesting. I like it when films that are recognized as classics, you can look at them and say, do they deserve to be?
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. And this is one of them.
That's always good fun.
Another question: what films that we covered surprised us this year? I have three, but I'll let you start.
Well, Hell or High Water surprised me because I was expecting, when I saw the poster, I was expecting a Western.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I suppose it's a certain.
I mean,
degree out to
it's
what
a
I got.
it's a neo noir, neo
Yeah,
western.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at how much I loved that and how much I
Mhm.
got embroiled in that story.
Yeah.
And another one that surprised me because I didn't really. It didn't surprise me. What surprised me was how much I enjoyed it. That's a better way of putting it. And that was Caught Stealing,
Mm.
which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Mm.
We'll might talk about that later, a bit more later. But I'll tell you what did surprise. What surprised me was how much I enjoyed rewatching Miami Vice.
Yes.
And how well that stood up.
Yeah.
And also how undeserved its reputation for being like laughed at for the fashion is.
Yes.
Because we say in the episode, I watched that as a kid. There was a big hoo-ha about it being how violent it was in the mid-'80s. And because we were still used to things like Juliet Bravo and The Bill and things like that, you know.
Yes.
And when you suggested covering the pilot, I thought, how cheesy is this going to be, and how hokey and out of date is it going to look? And I was bowled over. I had totally forgotten how cutting edge that series was in its day, and it still packs a punch. It's got its issues that we talk about, but it still packs a punch. And it is Crockett's show. It is Don Johnson's show, and he is brilliant.
Sorry, Tubbs.
Sorry, Tubbs. I mean, you know, you're a great sidekick, but it's Crockett's gig for me.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I say in the episode, it's obvious that he saw an opportunity and he gripped it with both hands and he ran with it, and he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And so that genuinely did surprise me. I was surprised at how well it stood.
Yeah.
30 years later or whatever it is.
Yeah.
40 years later.
I had Miami Vice on my list as well for basically all those same reasons. I mean, when I first watched it, I was like, holy shit. Like, you know, I mean, over the last several years, I've been watching a bunch of 80s thriller crime shows like Spencer for Hire, Magnum PI, Columbo, stuff like that. And I was like, I've never watched Miami Vice. I was like, let's give it a go. It's on Prime, whatever. Put it on. I was like, I was hooked. I was like, this is so cool. I am loving everything about what I'm seeing. And again, like I said, it shattered those preconceived ideas that this is just some cheesy 80s fashion show. It's like, there's fashion in there, but like it's nowhere near as it doesn't weigh it down. But no, it was
no,
it's fantastic.
Its noir elements and its dark side far outweigh the pastel.
Yeah,
the pastel colors, definitely. Yeah. And it was a nice surprise. You know, I was. I mean, I'm still watching it. I'm still working my way through the series.
Yeah. I went and bought it. This was one I was like, I want to own the physical media of this, so I went and bought the box set. Like, this is one I have to own. So yeah, Caught Stealing is another one. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Blood Simple was one that was because this was when we covered it for the show. This was the first time I'd seen it, and just like its mood, its atmosphere, its grittiness. What the Coen brothers did, it's like what their first film. Like, it's insane, like how accomplished that thing felt. Its horror elements, just
big horror nods,
fucking fantastic. I loved Blood Simple, and you know, it had a couple of issues, but like I was really vibing with a lot of what they were selling with that one.
Yeah, and possibly the sleaziest PI in cinema history.
Yes, definitely. And my top film that surprised me this year was when we covered Strange Darling. I did not expect anything that surprise. It was just surprise after surprise. The non-linearness of it, the visuals, the brilliant visuals of it, the twists of it, everything about Strange Darling, like, you know, has just burned into my brain. And it's, you know, brilliant performances from everyone. Like, everyone. Yeah, I would say, that's probably my number one like film that I watched this year that was, that we covered this year, that was a real genuine like surprise for all the right reasons.
That's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Mm. The next question we have is, who was the best femme fatale we came across this year?
Oof.
I got two. I wrote two down.
Should I kick us off? Give us one of yours.
Well, we were just talking about it. The lady played by Willa Fitzgerald in Strange Darling. My God.
Absolutely knockout.
Yep. My God. Love everything about that. I'm assuming anyone who has listened has probably listened to the episode, but just in case, I'm not going to spoil anything. But that is by far the most vicious femme fatale of the 21st century.
Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
She is pitch fucking perfect and then some.
Yeah, she is.
The
Absolutely
second one,
brilliant.
I'll really quickly throw out my second one, and that is Bonnie Witt, played by Michelle Monaghan in the Apple series Bad Monkey.
Yeah, now that's a good one. Yeah,
she was delicious.
Yeah. She was really good. She was really good. Yeah. Those are two great choices.
Yes.
Mine's an oldie.
Go on.
I've gone old school. Although having said that, I'm not really sure who else I could have picked. Oh, well, I did think about picking Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive.
Sure.
But I didn't. I picked Gloria Swanson.
Well, I mean, perfection.
Yeah. Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard is who I picked.
Yeah.
Because she is the epitome of what a femme fatale is for me. I love we talked about the horror elements of her as well, the way she appears.
Vampiric.
The Dracula notes to her first appearance when she's at the window. Cool. And the terrifying, I do find it terrifying, walk down the stairs at the end as she goes into the camera.
Yes. Yeah.
I just think I think it's a magnificent performance. And she's the best thing in the film. But that is high praise, because there's a lot of great stuff in that film that we talked about in the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think of all the ones we've covered this year, she had to be number one for me. She had to be.
I think it's fair enough. I think I probably didn't go with anyone. Well, I didn't probably. I chose to not go with some of the icons because they're iconic, and I wanted to. I was like, what are the ones that like really stuck out that don't already have like heaps of attention piled upon them, which is why I chose these couple. But I mean, come on, Sunset Boulevard. You can't really can't really go wrong with that one. That one is just that film is again. Just,
in many ways, it was an easy choice. In many ways,
yes, but, that was perfect. Do you have any others, or is that
no? Like I said, I toyed with Naomi Watts in. Well, I toyed with both of them in Mulholland Drive because I think they both serve the function of a femme fatale.
Yes.
At various stages in the film, but I always try and look at these things as desert islands, and which one would I choose to watch on a desert island? And it'd be Gloria Swanson. No
sure,
shadow.
That makes sense. Okay, so the last question we have is, what was the best male lead we came across this year?
I found this really tough.
I mean, I wrote down a few options, but I do have what I think is a clear number one for me. And I'm pulling a page out of your book here, and I picked a classic.
Well, go on, then. Give us yours.
Well, I chose Bogart as Dixon Steele in A Lonely Place.
Right, yeah.
I legit feel that is just outside of Casablanca, this might be his best performance, if not better than. I don't know. They're tied for me. This is excellent Bogart here. This is not pastiche Bogart, not Bogart being Bogart. This is something more, and he just knocked it out.
He's superb in this. He's superb in the Lonely Place. And I wouldn't put Casablanca alongside it. I'd put the K Mutiny alongside it, because his performance when he breaks down on the stand in the K Mutiny is absolutely magical.
Sure.
I think really proves what an actor he was, really. That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
No.
I'm not sure I really thought Austin Butler was good. And Matt Smith. I think they were both good, but Matt Smith, I suppose, is a supporting role. But I thought Austin Butler was really good in Caught Stealing. I think I've got to mention Ryan Gosling in Drive as being.
Yeah, did we do that this year? That was this year.
That was this year. It was early on this year. Yeah, it was early on this year. I mean, Richard Roundtree is Shaft. I think we've had quite a lot of good leading men.
We have.
We had, there's a lot of them. I don't know. If I'm going to have to pick one, right, I'm going to say Austin Butler, because I think that I'd only seen him as Elvis prior to Caught Stealing, and I thought, is that it? Is that all he can do? Is he just a pretty boy who, got lucky on Elvis because he could sound a bit like him? And I saw him in Caught Stealing, and I saw what he did in Caught Stealing, and I just thought, nah, this is a good bit of acting. This, and he's one of the few noir heroes who really does take a beating, and it's a pretty brutal one at that. So yes. I'm gonna put my I toyed with Gene Hackman in Night Moves for different reasons.
Sure.
I think this year we've had a really good run of lead roles.
We have.
But I'm gonna go with old Mr. Butler.
Fair enough.
Say that because again it was something. It was far more than I expected of him. That sounds really patronising, but
sure.
I was just bowled over by what he did in that film, and I thought that was like one of the highlights of the year.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I will run through my runner-ups. I have a handful. A couple of them. I chose would have been Lawrence Fishburne as Russell Stephen Jr. in Deep Cover, alongside Jeff Goldblum's David Jason.
Yeah.
Both of those were outstanding, and both were leading that film. Mickey Rourke in Angel Heart.
Yeah, I've got him as an honorable mention.
Yep, he was fantastic. And I also included Kyle Gallner as the demon in Strange Darling.
Yeah, I would also say Jeff Bridges in Hell and High Water.
Yeah, yep. Well, he's not a lead. He's not the lead. So he can't count. Jeff Bridges is a support
lead.
No. He's a support. He's a support. He's not lead.
Well, all right. I'll take him off the honourable mentions. But yeah, I had Mickey Rourke as a backup as well.
Yeah, great performance. Probably last good performance.
The last good one he gave. Yeah,
the one and only.
yeah. Sadly.
Okay. Now those are sort of the main questions that we got from the audience. So thanks for questions. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks.
I guess we can sort of dive into the last part of the show, and that is summing up our top 3 favorite shows that we did, our top 3 favorite episodes. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, do you want me to give all 3, or should we do one each?
One at a time. Yes, you want it.
Just one this time. Well, I mean, it's going to come as no surprise, but Caught Stealing.
There we go.
I enjoyed what we said about it. I enjoyed discussing it, and I enjoyed discussing it simply because I loved it so much, for all the reasons I've said in the episode itself and here tonight. I didn't know what to expect. The reason we covered it is because I put it on a tweet, I think, hadn't I, and said, "Who's looking forward to this?" And it was only so I could say Elvis versus Catwoman in a noir, because it's Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz.
Yes.
Which, of course, isn't the case when you watch the film, but nevertheless. And And then we sort of decided that if we were going to plug it on social media, we ought to probably go and see it.
Like, if we're going to plug it, we should probably just like go watch it and cover it. Actually,
and cover it. Yeah. So, and it was one of the highlights of the noir year for me. I thought it was a brilliant film.
Yeah,
brilliant film.
Well, I think it's funny because like someone tweeted the other day about how the tweet was about The Fugitive and how like we don't, being hyperbolic and saying, oh, back in the day we used to get these like big movie stars going head to head in these old movies, and we just don't make them like this anymore. They just don't get them anymore. Blah blah blah. Which, like, to some degree, it's like sure we don't, but actually we do. They just don't dominate the box office anymore, and that's a shame. And I replied, and I put Caught Stealing down as one of the examples. And look, you've got Zoe Kravitz, you've got Austin Butler, you got Matt Smith, you've got Vincent D'Onofrio, and you've got oh God, why is his name gone out of my head? The guy who plays Ray Donovan.
It's Lee Schreiber.
Lee Schreiber, yes. You've got that is a star-studded cast. Like those are all big powerhouse actors bouncing off each other in this 2-hour chaotic thrill ride that offers the same amount of thrill and action and intrigue and drama as something like The Fugitive. This Caught Stealing, is totally, for me, would be on par with one of those like 90s classic thrillers that we just don't get anymore. Easily.
And you're right. It's not a case that they're not made. It's a case that nobody knows about them.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons, whatever those reasons may be. But I agree. And Griffin Dunn was in it, playing the old stoner barman. And and I remember, I was laughing at the comedy moments. Matt Smith's performance is just like through the roof.
Fire. He's on fire in that.
But when it was exciting, when it needed to be exciting, it was. Yeah. And I was genuinely scared at some moments, because the thugs in it are horrendous.
They are,
and they're not like they're not movie thugs. They are people that I believe exist in every big city in the in this country.
Yes,
and then Schreiber and D'Onofrio as those two hitmen, well, gangsters,
the Jewish gangsters,
It's just ace. It's just ace, And I loved everything about that film, and I loved talking about it, and I've talked about it to a lot of people. Yes. I recommended it. I was at a crime writing festival in October, and I recommended it to Mike Craven, M.W. Craven, of all, and he made a note, and I don't know if he's watched it or not. I should ask him, but he was like, I've not heard of this. I'm well up for that. I was like, well, that's the shame that people haven't heard of it.
Yes, well, exactly. I mean, also, you think about like what happens to Zoe Deschanel. Good God, Zoe Kravitz.
That's a different film.
Very different. What happens with Zoe's character? Like it was shocking. Like I was legit shocked. I was like, I can't. This isn't how this is supposed to happen.
No,
you're not meant to do this. No.
Well, I think did we mention in the episode? It's like a Psycho moment. It's like, it's a real
the gut
killer.
Punch.
Yeah, sucker punch,
gut
right?
Punch, and you're like, holy shit, they did it. They actually, wow, okay, crap.
Wow, they did it. Yeah, superb.
So
superb.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That one is fantastic. It's probably pretty obvious what one of my top ones is going to be. One is Strange Darling.
Yes.
Directed by J.T. Mulner, starring Kyle Gallner and Willa Fitzgerald. This is one of those films that just I saw and it has stayed with me since watching it. Like we were saying, like this, the non-linear aspect of it is handled so well in that, you don't feel cheated. Like you don't feel like sometimes when things are non-linear, they're done in a way that feels cheap to like keep you interested. And slowly reveal things, and that is essentially what is happening here. But it's handled in such a way that it feels like this is the best way to tell the story.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
it felt worthwhile to have it told in this way. And again, like we said, like the, you know, everything about this film was I think was fantastic. I think the plot line was great. The chemistry between the demon and the lady is fantastic. The sort of, is this an abusive romantic, non-romantic situation? What's going on here with them in
Yeah, what's
bed?
going
Like,
on
you know, you're really on edge the whole time.
the whole time? Yeah, yeah,
And it's just, it was, to me, this one was just expertly done. I mean, everything, like the visuals of it, like those deep saturations when they're sitting in the truck and there's that blue light bathing over them, or when she's running across that green field in that vivid red shirt. Like that shit, just visuals just stay in
yeah.
your brain.
And that's the opening shot, I think, isn't it?
It is, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and like you say, it really grabs you. And
Mm,
you know what? Because and it does so many things. You know, this is like a film student's dream. I think we might have said this on the episode. Why is she running? What's she running from?
mm,
You know, where's she running to? Where is she? Where are we?
mm,
And it never stops making you ask those questions. You know,
mm,
what are we doing now? Whose side am I on? You know, on all this business
mm.
until it is all explained.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's vital. I think it's told in a non-linear way, because if it was told in a linear way, I think it'd be quite dull. Really,
Mm.
the fact that it's told the story is very simple, isn't it? But the fact that it's told in a non-linear way makes it absolutely captivating to me.
Yes. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And also that breakfast.
The breakfast. Oof. I'd forgotten about the breakfast. My,
How could you forget about that amazing breakfast?
because it was horrendous.
Oh my god, that was amazing. So
I've
yes,
never seen anything like it.
only in America, only in America. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
mine is Strange Darling. What's your number 2?
my number 2 is, I've mentioned it already, is Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
A big Lynch fan, as people will know, and I think this is his masterpiece.
Mm,
And I enjoyed watching it again. I enjoyed talking about it and talking about the dream aspects of it, but also enjoyed the fact that I think it actually tells a very logical story. It's just that it's told in dream language,
mm,
and you have to keep up. And I like films that make you work a little bit to
mm.
understand it, and I like films that don't over explain and leave
Yeah,
something for you to take away and think about. You know,
yeah.
and Lynch was famous. You know, there's a famous interview of him where he says Eraserhead is his most sensual film, and I think it's Mark Commode, and he says, "Do you want to explain that?" And Lynch just says, "No."
No.
That's it. End of interview. And um, and I like the fact that he does that. He's got the guts to do that. And I think
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive is a brilliant piece of film noir. It blended with horror. It's not his most horrific film. That's for me is Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me.
Mm.
But as a noir detective story, I think this is a cracker, and I love this film.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. I enjoyed covering that one. That was good times. That was your second one, right? Yes. So yes, my number 2 is again one we've hinted at already, and that is In a Lonely Place, obviously directed by Nicholas Ray, starring Bogart and Gloria Graham. Like I said, this is seriously up there as one of the best performances by Bogart. Gloria Graham is also on fire in this movie, and especially when we like were chatting about the behind the scenes stuff, the fact that Ray and Graham were married and there were problems with their marriage, but they didn't let it impact the set, but also like pulled on like drew from their current state,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to like pull out these performances and this narrative, and the way that just sort of was feeding into the drama was both crazy, but I think probably really enhanced the chemistry and the tension between
Absolutely.
Dixon Steele and Graham's character. You know, and yeah, so I was just totally on board with that. And again, kind of like, you know, like you were saying with you know, what was it, Strange Darling or whatever. This film, you know, it keeps you're frightened of Dixon Steele. You don't know what his anger is going to do. He's clearly got some PTSD. And he's he does feel a bit unhinged, and you don't know if he's a murderer or not. Obviously in the book he is. In the film they change it. But you really don't know how good of a guy he is. And even when things kind of unfold, you're still like, I'm not sure if you are a good guy. Like, it is just, you know, and it fits those, you know, noir tropes so nicely of, you know, complete destruction, complete loss, complete, you know, disillusionment, but also the commentary on like film in that period, and, you know, being frustrated as a screenwriter writing these scripts and wanting to like create real art and stuff, which is, you know, feels very relevant today. I mean, there's
relevant, yeah.
You know, I've been watching The Studio on Apple, and that is the whole plot of The Studio. And Seth Rogen's character is the guy who's just taken over the studio. He wants to make real films, and then he's, you know, forced to produce the Kool-Aid movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and all he wants to do is like do something amazing and serious, and you know, it's just. You know, and so you really sort of get that this has just kind of always been a thing in Hollywood, you know, and still is. And it just, you know, I thought that film brought that stuff out so nicely and was such a gripping thing. And you're just left heartbroken at the end when things
you are.
don't work out.
Yeah, and it's a love story, but it's a love story in film noir. So it's tragic and it's doomed and it's very, very black in its heart, you know. So I mean, that is a great choice. It's a great film. It's a superb film, and it's one of my favorites. And again, it's one to own on physical media, definitely. It should be part of every collection. And I agree. I think it's one of Bogart's, if not his best. It's certainly up there.
Yeah,
with things like the K Mutiny and Casablanca, and he's knockout in this, and Gloria Graham is as well. She deserves a lot of credit for why this film works, you know. And really, it's her, you know, it's her journey as much as his. And when she's meant to be selling the idea that she doesn't know what he's going to do next. She does it perfectly. Her facial expressions when they're in the car together are absolutely immaculate.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Ah, so good. So good. What's your third?
Well, I had an idea for my third, and I've since we've been talking, I'm going to change it.
All right.
I was going to say Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because that was a film that sort of passed me by, and I had a similar reaction to it that I had to The Nice Guys, which was this is hilarious and it is brilliant. But I have to say, given the question from Sage on films, I'm going to go Murder My Sweet.
Fair enough.
I think it's a great film. Again, one I never tire of talking about, and Powell is superb. And I think we had a good discussion about the one of the themes in the novel that isn't pursued and what the various reasons why that would be with Sergio, and it was interesting to get into that and, you know, go into the detail of that and the idea of the whole sort of subplot of corruption.
Yeah, and
when you remove that, what's left with the character of Anne Reardon and then what they do with her to keep her in the script, I think you know, that was all good to unpick.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a very solid pick as well. I didn't choose it, but it was a contender. It was a contender. I think the only reason I didn't choose it is because it was just so recent that we talked about it or released the episode.
I didn't choose it first time around. When I did my first list,
Yeah.
I thought we've only just talked about that. But
yeah,
just as we were mentioning it now, some things started to come back to me. I thought, nah, screw it.
It is fantastic. I mean, it is the cast is excellent from start to finish. As we've already banged on the drum for Powell as a fantastic lead in that film, but also like visually, there's just the spiderweb stuff, the inky black pool, all of that. Like there's just such great dynamic filmmaking going on in that
the
piece.
Famous scene where he's staring out of the office window, and as the neon lights change,
love it.
They sort of flicker on and off, and Moose Malloy is above him.
Yes,
and that's noir photography. If somebody asked me what I thought noir photography was, I would show them that and say, "This is film noir."
Yes.
Yeah, this is what film noir means to me.
Yes, that is. That would Murder My Sweet is just perfect for that. I deserves. I'm glad it's on the list. I'm glad it's on one of our top 3 because it is literally my favorite Marlowe movie, and I was trying to be diplomatic by not including it.
Yeah, well, I mean it sort of it means my list now spans the original period right up to this year. So
yes, which my list will do as well now, because my third is Night Moves, directed by Alan Penn, starring Gene Hackman, Susan Clark. It was one of those movies that really, again, it was so fun to watch. It was insane. It had incredible performances. I mean, the scenes between Hackman's character and his wife, and that marriage, and the breakdown of their marriage, and their fights, and the scene in the kitchen at night where they're arguing, and it was so, there was stuff in it that was just so visceral and so depressing. And she just really hates his job for some reason. She just hates him. Ultimately, she just hates him and what he's doing with his life, and it's not up to her standard or something. And it just felt very it was just perfect 70s grunge, gringy, sleazy.
We're never quite sure why, are we?
Yeah. But sometimes that's real life. Sometimes people are just fucking assholes and don't like you and what you're doing, and you never get a good explanation for it. They just
it occurred to me after we'd done the show. Actually, I thought maybe Gene Hackman's character, he's called Harry, isn't he? Maybe Harry doesn't know why she hates it. So we're not letting, because he doesn't get it. We're not allowed to know either. Maybe it's a bit of that.
Yeah,
I could easily believe that. But I mean, I like that movies. I think Hackman is top of his game in this, and certainly on the rise to the top of his game. And he's like a PI that we've never seen before. He's sort of, so he's almost sort of laid back. He's half asleep, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. And I just think he's an interesting character. I think for someone who and it's the way Hackman plays it. There's just a sort of uncertainty about him throughout.
Yes.
The plot loses me a little bit.
I mean, it definitely does. It's not perfect.
But who says noir plots have to always make sense?
Sure.
Mr. Chandler.
Yes. I mean, it's definitely not watertight. Lol. There are some weaknesses in there. There are some leaks in there.
There are plot elements that come out of nowhere, I think.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I don't think that's the point, though. I don't think the plot is the point. The point is him and the characters, and and I think as a character piece, it's superb.
Well, yeah, because he's a desperate individual trying to prove himself. He's not even able to prove himself to his wife. He's really just, I feel like he's trying to prove himself to himself. At the risk of his own self-destruction, his marriage's destruction, this woman he's had an affair with, destruction, and everything he's doing, everything he's touching is destroying, basically. I mean, he's trying to find the girl who's gone missing. He finds her and finds her in this terrible situation where she's being abused by her stepfather, and finally drags her home. And the minute she gets dragged home, what happens? She's killed in a car crash, and that turns into a murder, and it all goes back, and he goes back to these people, and it's basically you could say that the problem is the plot isn't solid enough, but at the same time it's this one guy trying to bounce between all these different people's lives and trying to make sense of
exactly,
and that's quite chaotic,
Yeah, and that's why I don't mind that the plot has twists that come out of nowhere, or elements that just sort of suddenly appear and you're meant to just buy into them, because that's not that's not the point. The point is that he is involving himself in these people's lives, and these people's lives are chaotic. He isn't a sleuth in the way that he follows clues. He almost sort of stumbles upon what the plot is, and for what? For nothing really at the end. For no.
What is he looking for? Himself, I guess. And where does he find? He finds himself, and I think that ending scene is so meaningful, and that is after the plane crashes and he's on the boat and he's been shot and he's bleeding out on the boat, and he tries to get it to go forward, and where does the boat go? He's bleeding out, and the boat just goes in circles and circles and circles and circles.
And
I think that is the symbolism of what his whole life has been, and that is you're bleeding out, you're dying, going in circles.
And like you say, that's what his life has done. His life has just never had any meaning, really. And doesn't the poster sort of say something like that? Doesn't the poster say maybe he'd find the girl, maybe he'd find himself, or something like that?
The poster is one of those posters. I remember criticizing the poster when we covered it, because the catchphrase is maybe he would find the girl, maybe he would find himself. It's like that is the weakest tagline you could put on your poster. It's like, it's so non-committal to anything. And again, this film wasn't a hit. It was brushed over, wasn't well received. It's I wouldn't go so far as to say it was underrated. I think it's probably I think it's probably rated as it
rated.
I think but I do think it was one that, while it was not a huge hit at the time, it was an interesting one to revisit, and has some very interesting thematic bits in there that I think are worth shining some light on. Not in a, like I said, not in a this film is underrated, but in a this film, despite its flaws, deserves to be examined and enjoyed.
I agree.
Well, there we are. We
go. I mean, I think we've picked 6 good episodes there.
I think so. And I think
as a wide range of films and periods and topics.
Yeah. I mean, I say as an end of year wrap up. I mean, we've covered quite a bit. We've covered the Netflix drama. Fuck that. Our roundups. I think we're all some interesting roundups. For anyone, I'll quickly recap the names. So we talked about Ballad of a Small Player, The Crow Girl, Eenie Meenie, The Island on the BBC, Dexter Resurrection, Dexter Original Sin, a recommendation of wanting to watch the Death of Bunny Monroe, Storm Warning, The Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff, and I very briefly mentioned The Running Man, and I guess you briefly mentioned the Watson Show as well, but you haven't seen it, so it's a why the heck, but we haven't seen it. I
don't think I'll be watching it either, so I just wanted to sort of vent my spleen.
Yes. So a lot of interesting stuff. Again, despite all of these roundups being ones that like didn't make the main show, it's still proof that like, hey, there's still noir stuff out there. There's still neo-noir stuff getting made. You know, we obviously talked about Caught Stealing, which was a big one this year. You know, some other 2025 films or we'll be talking about in the new year. You know, so hold on to your butts for that. You know, so it's, you know, hey, you know, it's still, you know, the genre's still, you know, clacking along. It's still got life. It's still going.
Yeah, it's still a good time to be a noir fan.
Yeah. Well, we will be back next week with our final episode of 2025. We sort of rejigged the schedule around just a little bit because of some stuff. But next week we'll be back, not with a proper. It's not a proper episode, but it's a new debriefed. We're doing a new debriefed, and we will be talking about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, the third film in the Knives Out franchise. It's just come out. Thought it'd be a fun like debrief to do at the end of the year. So that will be coming out in about a week's time or so, week and a bit's time. So you can look forward to that, and that will be us signing out for 2025. But we got a guest joining us that week. Author and friend of the podcast, James Benmore, is going to join us. He's a big fan of the Knives Out series. We will probably have a general Knives Out discussion. In that, if one wants to, they can search out the Luke Deckard show, my old podcast where Matt and me and James and a couple others tackled Glass Onion, which was quite the pile on.
No spoilers, but oof.
But that means this will be our second Rian Johnson movie of the year, because we also covered Brick at the beginning of this year.
We did, yeah. Yeah, we did.
So Rian Johnson will get 2 episodes on this podcast this year, which is not always the case for some directors.
No, absolutely.
So anyway, guys, I would say thanks for tuning in all year long, for watching, listening to the episodes, liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. You keep us coming back and doing more.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And for tonight, but for all the episodes throughout the year, as Luke says, it's much appreciated.
Yeah. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up in 2026. We might hint at some of that in the Knives Out episode coming up next week. But So like I said, we will be back next week. So as I say at the end of every episode, take care walking down those mean streets.